The information shared on Light Body Radio is for educational and informational purposes only. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed healthcare provider, or qualified wellness practitioner with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or health goal. Dr. Lara may, her guests, and affiliates do not claim to cure, prevent, or treat any condition and are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information shared in this podcast. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that any actions you take based on the content are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in to Light Body Radio.
Welcome to Light Body Radio, where science meets soul and healing gets multidimensional. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, functional medicine pharmacist, master intuitive Reiki channel, and certified life and health coach. Here we decode root causes, transmute stuck energy, and empower your full spectrum healing journey, body, mind, and light body. This isn't just wellness, it's awakening, grounded in science, guided by spirit, and designed for your evolution. Let's rise and radiate. Welcome to the next level of you. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio, and this is another episode of Wellness Illuminated, where it's just you and me. And today we are going to dive in to the toolbox that I use on a regular basis to keep everything sort of quiet and smooth sailing in my head, if there is such a thing. So not long ago, a friend asked me how I do it. How do you stay so grounded and steady and calm and centered when everything feels like it's chaotic or like on fire? You know, for a lot of people right now, it feels like the world is on fire or, like sort of going down in a not good direction. But again, that's just perception. And honestly, perception is reality, which means that, our world is really, and how we see it is dependent upon what we think about it and what we say about it. And so that's one of my big practices that I try to be very deliberate and intentional and aware with is, what am I thinking and what am I saying? And so maybe you're wondering this for yourself, how can I be more centered? How can I stay more calm? How can I not let the craziness of the world bother me, get to me? How do I maybe not feel hopeless or that there's nothing that I can do to really change anything? And so, because life is noisy, unpredictable, it's full of stressors, and that's really easy to pull us off center and out of balance if we don't have a strong personal practice. So again, today I'm opening up my personal toolbox and sharing the practices that I return to again and again to stay grounded, clear, and aligned. And these are my anchors. So this is a no BS episode. Not that I feel like, not that many, if any of my episodes are BS. I try to be super honest with you guys about everything. So, so the things that keep me steady, no matter what is swirling around, whether it's in the news, around the planet, or just in my personal life. So this is airing in October. It's the heart of autumn. We have passed through the equinox. The days are growing shorter, and nature is inviting us to slow down and shed things that no longer serve us and start to integrate. So I also feel like this is a really good episode from that perspective as well. And from a functional medicine perspective, this time of year is also super powerful because it's a time to really support your liver and your gut from summer's exposure and before the indulgences of the holiday season are upon us. So it's also an opportunity to reset your nervous system after months of long, active, hopefully sunny and beautiful days, it is time for a reset. And it's also time to really start, if you haven't yet and you don't do this on a daily basis, strengthen your immunity. As cold weather comes in, sometimes some of us can be more susceptible to flu season. And so it really is, fall is one of my most favorite times of the year. And from an energy medicine perspective, October is about harvesting our wisdom and releasing what no longer serves us. So just like the trees are letting go of their leaves, it's time for us to also clear out stagnant energy, shed old patterns, align ourselves with what we truly want to carry forward for the final season of the year. And so that begs the question, what do we want to carry forward and what do we want to shed? And if you don't even ask yourself these questions, then you're living in this state of like unconsciousness where you're just letting your past run you. Most of our behaviors and our thoughts are based on things that happened to us in the past. And that has been sort of patterned in our brain. And that's what's running on autopilot, unless we get in there and intentionally disrupt that autopilot. So we're going to talk about that. So the very first thing, one of my personal practices that is for me and non-negotiable, and is morning meditation. I'll just say that. And so every day, no matter what, and the time container can vary for sure, but every day I begin my day with a meditation. And sometimes it's a Joe Dispenza practice. And even within that context, if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, there's a very powerful breath work technique that he teaches. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just center into my heart and really focus on heart coherence. So it just really depends on where I am and what I'm feeling in terms of like, am I being very intentional with my manifestation or what I'm wanting to bring in terms of like abundance or my business or my career, or am I just really focusing on heart coherence and, how do I want to say this? Like taking the energy out of the stress, like really diffusing the stress and coming back to heart coherence and back to center, back to homeostasis, back to balance. And so sometimes also it's more of like an angelic Reiki morning meditation for me, which is calling on my guides and angels, connecting to source light, and then, working with whatever beings come through. There's plenty of guided meditations on YouTube that I absolutely love and that I'm a regular listener to. And so whatever resonates for you, you do you and you figure out what works best for you and what helps you the most. But what I would say is setting yourself up for success first thing in the morning really does impact the entire rest of your day. It impacts how you respond to other people. It impacts how you respond to other stressors that come up in your life, whether it is traffic or a coworker or your boss or a spouse, a partner, a child, your child's teacher maybe, or maybe it's another parent in your kid's class that has really just, maybe said something to trigger you or set you off, or, whatever it is. I don't know. There's so many things. Again, it could be the news. It could be, any myriad of things. But if we set ourselves up for success first thing in the morning, as soon as we get up, then we are much more likely to not be taken out, not be sort of reduced to the swirl of the negativity. And so one of the other things that I do multiple times a day actually is connect to the light. And this is something I learned from one of my teachers, Christy Marie Sheldon, when I was taking her intuition classes and courses. And this is so important because, again, you are with intention connecting to source light, and you are elevating your vibration and elevating your energy so that you're staying above the fray, so that you even, and I started doing this when I was in very challenging work environment with a very toxic boss. And so, if looking back on it now, if I had not had this tool, I would not have lasted at that job as long. And I ended up staying in that place for over a decade because things changed, but also I changed. And I think that's really important to acknowledge. And I changed with intention, because I knew that I couldn't I couldn't stay there if I didn't somehow figure out how to not let it affect me. And I think that was really what my friend was asking me, you know, when I was opening this episode up for you, is that she's like, how do you let these things not affect you? And she was talking about a family dynamic, but also sort of the political environment. And to me, like, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. So this has nothing to do with that, because I think no matter where you stand, it is challenging, and it's challenging to have reasonable conversations anymore. And I think that's a big tragedy. And so if we're able to come to a place of centeredness, and we're able to have a space of self love, self compassion, and non judgment, then we're so much more likely to be able to see our outer world with that, through that same lens, and then treat people in that same way. So treating people with love, treating people with compassion, treating people with non judgment, no matter what they think or what they say to you. And of course, you don't have to agree with them, and you don't even have to condone it. But coming to this state of not letting it affect you, like caring more about feeling good than anything else. And what does it take for you to feel good? You have to ask yourself that. It's different for everyone. I'm telling you today what it takes for me to feel good. And so the first thing is that morning meditation. But again, it comes down to the why, is the setting yourself up for success for the rest of the day. So that when I get in my car and someone cuts me off, I don't honk the horn. I don't wave my hands. I don't flip them off. I'm just like, okay, there you go. Like, okay, like, you must be having a rough day, or like, oh, you're in a hurry. Go ahead. No problem. So that's the first thing. And then the other thing, like I said, is the connecting to the light. And so for me, it's just, you can close your eyes. You don't have to, but, just with intention, taking your energy up through your crown and up to the great central sun or source light. You call in whatever divine being that you align yourself with, and then bringing that light back down into your body, all the way through your body, down through your feet into the center of Mother Earth. So you're connected from above and below to the divine love and light of the entire universe, and this earth that we live in and live on. And again, this will raise your vibration, which, again, if we know anything about physics and quantum physics, we know about the law of attraction and how it is backed by science and why. And I can explain it again, but I feel like I've sort of explained it ad nauseum on the show lately, so I'll spare you from that today. But there is a method, like there is a madness behind the method, if you will. So the next piece of my non-negotiable day is some sort of movement coupled with breath work. So like I said, so sometimes I will do my breath work with my meditation. So that usually includes a Joe Dispenza like style of meditation, or because I love to practice Kundalini yoga. If any of you are familiar with that practice, you know that that is a powerful practice that infuses movement and breath work together. And so that's, again, not an everyday thing, but it is some way, shape, or form a non-negotiable, because if I don't do that, then I do a strength and resilience training. And so there is some sort of movement in my day every single day. And even on my rest days, I'm out walking the dog, hiking in the woods, doing something, moving, stretching. And so I am in my mid 40s and perimenopausal. And so weightlifting has always been important to me as an athlete. But as I grow older and my body is changing, my hormone balance is changing, I also know how important it is to maintain muscle mass for bone integrity. And so I am an avid weightlifter. And when I'm out hiking, I'm usually rucking, meaning I'm carrying a pack. My pack, especially right now, because I'm training for an elk hunt, is about 35 pounds. And that is based on my height and weight. So I'm not that tall of a person. I'm only 5'4". So 35 pounds is about the max I will train with. But I do it on a regular basis, and that's at least 2 to 3 times a day. And even when I'm traveling for work, I'll take that weighted backpack and I'll go, if I'm in a hotel, I'll go to the gym and I'll either crank the, what do you call that? The incline on the treadmill up to anywhere from 10 to 15% incline, or I'll get on the stair stepper or eclipse and crank up the resistance. So anyway, strength training, resistance training, super important for women anywhere between the ages of, I would say, like 40 to 55. Essentially, like as soon as you get into your 30s, you really need to start thinking about this because our bodies change, and that's normal, and that's actually healthy and beautiful, but we need to change with it. And if we want to stay healthy and strong throughout our entire life, and if we want to not say like, well, as you get older, these are just normal part of aging. I say F that. I refuse to resign myself to the quote unquote normal path of aging because honestly, from my perspective and from a lot of other health and wellness perspective out there, that sort of attitude is like a resignation to just letting yourself go and letting your body and mind deteriorate. And that's not for me. So I'm not doing that. So I'm doing these other things to prevent that. So again, when we do hard things, we build resilience. So, strength training stabilizes hormones. Again, it supports our bone health. It is the biggest preventer of osteoporosis. If you want to prevent any sort of bone compromise as an older woman, and this is true for men too, but more so for women because of the role of estrogen in bone health, it is super important to do some weight bearing, load bearing exercises. But it also really grounds you in your physical body. Like when you're moving yourself in this way, you can't help but be aware of what you're doing, how you're feeling, you know, how like you feel afterwards, looking in a mirror and paying attention to your alignment. Same with yoga, same with breath work. So all of this has a reason behind it, and it's not just for vanity and aesthetics. And of course, the rucking outdoors, it combines fitness and a training goal that I have, but also it incorporates this super healing power of nature. And that's one of the reasons I don't live in a city anymore. And the a little time I do spend down in the city when I have to go down there for work, it feels, I don't know, like stifling or disconnected. But I need nature, and there is such a healing power of being in and around nature. It helps you again connect to earth, but it also helps you just clear out your energy. There's such something so healing and clearing about being in the trees, being in the mountains, being by the ocean. Maybe you're lucky enough to live close to or by the ocean and, in some part of the planet. And so really taking advantage of wherever and however you can get out into nature. Again, dog walks are great for this. So, and they've actually found that people that are dog owners live a lot longer and lot healthier lives in their older ages because just by the nature of walking the dog, you're naturally getting more steps in. So you're naturally more active. Whereas people without dogs are much less likely to move that much. Okay, so let's keep moving. So the next thing that for me, that I really try, not only daily pretty much, is clean eating. and my daily detox rituals. Food is fuel, but it's also information. So I focus on clean, seasonal eating, rich and colorful vegetables, lean protein, and right now, because it's fall, really grounding, warming, and grounding foods. And I also support my body's daily detox systems with things like dry brushing to stimulate lymph movement, sauna sessions to make sure like we're sweating out the toxins, and cold plunges to reset my nervous system. And so I want to say a few things here about these things. Um, First thing, for cold plunges, for females, we do not need temperatures as cold as a lot of our male counterparts out there touting the practice of cold plunges. It has been shown that cold plunges for women can be just as effective in temperatures and water temperatures in the 50s. And this is also a biological reason behind this, because women are not just smaller versions of men. We actually have a lot of different things going on for us. The first thing is our hormone balance. Our hormones are messengers for how the rest of our body functions. And so you want to, really, we want to help dampen down the stress. And what does that mean? So that means like calming cortisol release. And when we do this, this will also help balance our blood sugar, which will also help balance our sex hormones, which will also help balance our stress hormones. And so all of this, again, is connected and it comes into play. And so by allowing our body to release the toxins on a daily basis through dry brushing, sauna, and cold plunging, then we are, again, setting ourselves up with a great foundation so that if we are stressed or triggered in some way, we have a better foundation to deal with it. And so that, again, like, so we don't get so frazzled and fried and maybe even like totally burnt out. And so a lot of this is about prevention. It's about building a good foundation, and it's preventative. So the next piece is, and I sort of touched on this a little bit earlier when I talked about connecting to the light, but it's energy protection and clearing. And energetic hygiene, again, is a non-negotiable. Every day I intentionally protect and clear my field. I surround myself, and like I said, with the white light, call in angels and guides. And I, with intention, also release any and all attachments, pacts, vows, contracts that are not mine to carry. So anything I might have taken on from someone along the way, I want to get rid of it because I don't want to be carrying it or internalize shit that's not mine. So like, there's plenty of other stuff out there that I take on my own. I don't need other people's stuff too. And I think, again, if we're moving through our life completely unconscious, then it's really easy for us to be affected by other people's energy, especially if you're empathic. So, so energy protection and clearing, non-negotiable. Got to do it every day. And it feels good. So why not? All right. So the next piece is mindset hygiene. And again, I said this before, but I'll say it again. Our perception of our world is completely determined by what we think about it. And so the reason is because our thoughts create our reality. And so a belief is just a thought that we keep on thinking. So any belief that we have can be changed if we want to. And so I think it's really important for us to challenge our beliefs and ask ourselves on a regular basis, is this belief something that I want to keep or let go of? Is this my belief? Is this a belief I took on from someone else? Meaning a parent, a religious background, friends, family, the news. So I think it's really important to challenge and question our beliefs. And then, and then think about, and then look at our thoughts again with deliberate discernment and So it's really important to catch yourself. So if you're spiraling out of control, not like, not maybe not necessarily like in your actions, but in your head, even, maybe you can stop and self arrest and start asking yourself, like, what am I thinking that is causing this emotion? So if you're completely distraught, if you are, despondent or feeling helpless, start asking yourself, well, what am I thinking that is causing this feeling? And this is a super important and powerful practice to start becoming aware of your thoughts so that you can actually start choosing them deliberately. What do you want to think about the world? What do you want to feel? If you want to, again, maybe come at it from a different perspective of start with the feeling and then build your thoughts around that feeling. Because obviously, if you don't have that feeling right now, then the thoughts that you're having or what's contributing that. So if you want to have a certain feeling, if you want to feel love, if you want to feel fulfilled, if you want to feel joyful, abundant, happy, what does happiness mean to you? Then it's important that we start understanding the old loops of thoughts that keep us in fear, doubt, people pleasing, and start asking, like, what would my best feeling, highest vibing self rather feel? And what thoughts is it going to take to get me there? Because the thoughts create the feelings, our feelings create our actions, and obviously our actions create our results. So if you look anywhere in your life and you do not have the results that you want, you have the power and are in complete control about how to get those and how to make that happen in your life. And so taking radical responsibility for everything in your life, the bad things, the good things, all of it, I think is a huge step. And it can be really sort of life changing, if you think about it. Because if you do that, and when you're ready to do that, then you're also finally getting rid of that victim of, instead of this happened to me, how did this thing, even if it's not a good thing, happen for you? What were the good things that came out of it? Maybe it challenged you to change, or maybe it challenged a perspective and that led to something new and good. Um, so I really encourage you to have a deliberate mindset and thought work practice, because that, again, is very much determining what unfolds in your life and really the nature of your life and the quality of it. And so you have the power, you have the choice. Start making the choice and start taking action for yourself. And so the other thing that I do, and this will be the last thing, is I call it sacred scheduling. And instead of focusing on the super Western idea of productivity, and yes, we all do need an element of productivity, but I don't think it should be our main focus. I think we can actually be more productive if all of these other things that I've listed today are actually in alignment and are helping us have our head in the right place and our energy in the right place and our stress level at the right, level. Then we can be more productive. So I design my calendar and my scheduling around the self-care first. And then I layer in the creativity, the clients, the projects, the work, whatever it is. And this really has helped me not only recover from burnout, but prevent burnout from coming back. It has helped me have more flow. It has really helped me prioritize what is important to me and what really matters to me. And I think this is important for anyone out there, for you to decide for yourself what's important for you, what really matters to you, and what do you need to do for yourself to prevent burnout. And so all of these practices together make up my daily life and help me stay aligned in our chaotic world. And they don't make life perfect, but they definitely give me clarity, resilience, again, a toolbox to stay grounded and centered in love and grace and compassion for others, but also myself. And I think it's important for us to remember that in order to, again, like treat other people with love, you have to treat yourself with love. If you want to treat other people with non-judgment, you have to treat yourself with non-judgment. And so it might sound selfish, but you have to start, with yourself first and really sort of clean up your side of the street. And again, take ownership, take radical responsibility for how you are. How are you being in the world? What is your energy? And again, that comes back to your thoughts and your behavior and how you respond. And so I hope this helps. This routine did not just come up overnight. This has been trial and error and integration and reintegration over time. And so again, I hope this provided you with some tools to maybe help you, give you some ideas. But that's also why I created my program From Burnout to Brilliance, because it's the framework that weaves these kind of practices together. So the functional medicine, the detox, the clean eating, the nervous system reset, the energetic hygiene, the mindset shifts, and the sacred scheduling. It's a step-by-step journey. And it's not about adding more to your plate. It's actually about clearing out the clutter and building systems and rhythms that actually sustain you. And I feel like I've finally come to a place in my life where I've figured it out for me, and I want to help others figure it out for them. And so, again, it's not about telling other people to do what I do. It's just about providing tools and holding a container where other women can figure out what's best for them, what works for them, what they want to integrate, and maybe what they don't want to integrate. And so if any of this calls to you, I encourage you to head on over to drlaramay.com/brilliance and, sign up for a discovery call with me, and we can talk about the program. It actually starts out, the first 3 weeks are completely focused on stress management. And then from there, we get into a gut healing protocol. And then once we have your gut healed and you being able to handle your stress / prevent it from happening to begin with, then we can move into the detox. Because one of the most, I wouldn't call it a complete waste of time, but one of the things that is sort of self-defeating is if you go into a detox program, but you're super stressed out and your gut is super inflamed. Like, you're just going to have a horrible time with that detox. So let's not make it horrible for you. Let's make it easy and flowing and regenerative and helpful. But you have to build a foundation for that. So anyway, I will stop rambling, and I encourage you to really, during this October season, release and integrate. It's your invitation to let go of what's heavy, honor your rhythms, choose your highest self again and again, your own personal inner loving self. And thank you so much for spending time with me today. And in our next episode, we're going to be exploring the fascinating gut, brain, and hormone connection. Yay, who doesn't love that? So, because balancing that loop can really, again, transform your energy and how your body maintains your energetic balance. And I mean that from the mitochondrial perspective. So I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. As always, send me your comments, comment, share on all the places and all the platforms, and we will catch you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining me on Light Body Radio, where functional medicine meets intuitive healing and transformation happens on every level. If this episode resonated with you, please share, and if you're ready to go deeper, visit drlaramay.com to book a functional medicine consultation or an intuitive healing session. Whether you need to rebalance your body, clear your energetic blocks, or reconnect with your soul's purpose, I've got you. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Dr. Lara May for daily inspiration, energy updates, and healing tools. Remember, your healing is multidimensional, and so are you. Until next time, honor your body, trust your intuition, and activate your light.